And we are recording.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 31 AA grant overview. This grant covers school mental health support as well as school safety. My name is Laura Slee. I am the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion here in Okemos Public Schools, and I also am the point person for our mental health supports. And I'll let Katie introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Katie Deal. I'm the Director of Safety and Security here at Okemos. And exactly what Laura said, I'm see all things related to safety and security, and I'm the second half of this 31 AA opportunity for grant funding. So thank you all for being here.
Yeah, all right. So we just quickly wanted to give you an overview of what this grant is all about and talk about some of the ideas that we have for the grant, as well as provide you an opportunity to give us some feedback on what we're thinking. If you have any ideas we haven't heard of or thought of, that would be fantastic as well. So I guess in terms of format of this part of the meeting, if you have any questions burning in your brain, if you just want to add those to the chat, and we will answer those as we go, and then we'll get to some questions for you later on in the program. So we're just going to do a very brief overview. There's not a whole lot to say about this grant, and then we'll share what we're thinking and ask for your feedback. With this I'm going to leave my screen in work mode because I'm going to be taking some notes on screen for us. So just in terms of the grant basics, this is state funding. It will be distributed, they basically take account of our students and they say you get X number of dollars per student. And once our application is approved, the total grant is $328 million from the state school aid fund as well as the general fund. And that will be, depending on, I think it's one of those grants that depends on how many applications they get, will determine how much money we get. And it's just based on however many students we have in the district. So it's not just for our local public schools, but also for our intermediate school districts, which are countywide, our non-public schools within the state of Michigan, and set aside money for the Michigan schools for the deaf and blind. And they have said literally 50% of the money needs to go for mental health support in our schools, and the other 50% for our school safety. And did I miss anything, Katie?
No, you basically summed it up.
Yes, it's not overly complicated. The complicated part is finding the most efficient and effective ways to spend the money so that they give the most benefit to our students. Does anybody have any questions before we jump into what we're thinking?
And again, if you have any questions, you could just submit them through the chat.
All right, if you think of any.
I don't see any yet, so we're doing good.
All right. They see my very fancy graphics, I know. PowerPoint's very, very sophisticated. So we'll start with mental health. So in terms of the support that we provide for our students, we typically provide the mental health support through our counselors, which we have in every building, and our social workers, who we have in every building. In general, the counselors are able to work with all of our students, and our social workers typically work with our students who have individualized education plans or IEPs. In 2022 and the 23 school year, we added 3 new counselors district-wide and some student support advisors who they're not providing direct mental health support, but they're allowing they're freeing up time for our counselors and our social workers to spend that direct time with students if they need mental health support. So we're thinking that we utilize the grant funding to continue funding those positions. We certainly don't want to see a reduction in that staff. And since the positions are fairly new as of last school year, we want to make sure we want more time with those people in place to really measure the impact that they are having on our student body and their mental health. If there were to be funding that's left over, would look into some more general staff training in that they can provide a level of mental health support, such as being able to recognize when a kid needs some support from a mental health professional. We're not going to have our people who are unqualified to provide counseling, for example, do that, but we can better equip all of our staff members to recognize when they need to step in and help a student get to somebody else who's more qualified to help them. So in terms of mental health, this is your opportunity. Based on what I just talked about, or your experiences with mental health supports within the district, what would you hope that we would be able to do with these grant funds or with other funds? Or what sort of expectations do you have as community members that we are providing for your students? And you can either type, you can type it and send it to Katie, or I think we can unmute you if you would like. I just need a raised hand.
And I'm not seeing any questions just yet. So,
right.
and also,
any thoughts, any hopes, expectations for us as you think about your student in Okemos schools, as on top of or in relation to making sure we have counselors and social workers ready to support your kids? And it's also okay if you don't have any, because we could talk about safety as well. I mean, we are going to talk about safety. Oh, Phoebe. I think okay.
Okay, so first, hello, my name is Yang Phoebe Liu. I'm a youth mental health therapist. I have two kids, both in the school district, one in kindergarten, one in primary school. So generally, that's my background. And I like the idea we have, professional in the building. I like the idea we collaborate with Child and Family Charities, which was an organization actually I worked in before. What I really want to share opinion is that, like we have kids definitely have special needs, which are basically who I'm working with. But I can see if sometimes we just focus on them a lot and forgot the general population. It's great if we train all our staff, they'll be able to recognize who may need more intensive, intervention and refer them to either some people on campus or off campus. But sometimes doesn't have to be, it's severe enough to need extra service. They're just frustrated. It's bullied. It needs some frequency, yada yada yada. It can't just be treated wrong or mean. Everybody has their difficult time. I'm just thinking, so it may be good for us generally have some training for the staff, say how to help people when they're frustrated, when they are having a bad day. It sounds like a default. We should already know. The reason I'm bringing it up is that in mental health, we have a series of survey. If you want to summarize it as one professional, it's called Dr. Ross Green. He said is that kids do well when they can. Basically, it sounds so normal, right? But what's opposite is kids do well. The kids will do well when they want. A lot of our people would think the kids, if they don't do well, they don't behave because they don't want, they refuse. to collaborate.
Mhm.
We see this a lot. Doesn't have to be kids with mental health issue or special education, IEP, anything. It's just kids have a bad day, they lost it, they misbehaved, and basically especially if they have it frequently, they got a label of bad kids, doesn't want to behave. You are just so disruptive, yada yada yada. So which build a lot of shame in them, and then they start to get worse and worse because they just feel the world is not nice to them, or they feel they're not good enough. It's actually they didn't do well because they cannot, which means they don't have to have a disability. It may be just there were other barriers. I really think we need to change the mind setting about, instead of saying, hey, you guys are just bad, you refuse to behave well. It's really, let's try to help our teachers say, look at the barriers instead of say bad intention. Just please don't assign bad intention. All kids want to be liked.
Yes.
Nobody want to, be the one hated by everyone.
Right. So what I'm hearing, I heard three big things. One was helping staff to understand when to refer to outside professionals, training for staff around like some strategies for helping, or for recognizing when kids are struggling with frustration or other behaviors, and then not only so how to recognize and what to do. And then I also heard you say anything that we can do to remove some of the stigma around quote unquote bad behavior, because kids aren't doing that on purpose. They do well when they possibly can.
Yes. So I guess what I'm trying to emphasize is it is important that we have specific funding, specific expertise, people with expertise working with kids in special care. But as a school, we actually will benefit if we put a little bit more emphasis on the mental health and well-being of the kids in general education setting. If we lower the tension there, for example, there are some like few naughty kids around kids with special ed actually make the life of the kids in special ed and the special ed staff's life much easier. Like less teasing, less this, less that. Actually, it totally worth it. It's kind of like a prevention vs intervention. Prevention is always cost efficient. If we can change the tune better, it's always better. Second, yes, we need some skill of how to handle that. But before we imply the skills, it's actually more about the mindset. Just like the kids, before we teach them math, ELA, we emphasize growth mindset. So if we stop seeing kids as being naughty, instead of they actually have a difficulty, learn me how to help, instead of how to blame him, like telling him you need to work, instead of why you cannot. Let's find out why you cannot.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense.
So it looks like, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Phoebe, didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just looks like we have another comment in the chat. So Danielle agrees with everything that Phoebe is saying. And then she also likes the idea of staff-wide training, because maybe that helps create the overall school environment we want, along with providing one-on-one counseling support where needed. So thank you, Danielle, for submitting that in the chat.
All right. Anybody else? I'm adding to the notes document. Any other thoughts on mental health support?
No more questions.
Okay. We can all, if you I guess I have another question. You're going to have the same questions for the safety component as well. Are there any kind of fears or concerns you have about how we're supporting students with their mental health? Realizing that we are not a mental health organization, we're trying to put professionals in place to bridge the gap between us and other organizations if students need that. again, if you can't think of anything like that we haven't already talked about, we can move on to safety. Do the official school wait time. Letting you think for a second,
Oh,
or type if you're typing.
no messages. So,
All right. All right, we can always circle back to mental health. Oh, Courtney,
Courtney, yep.
are you, did you get it?
There we go. I got the pop-up.
Yeah, I think it's locked down.
I thought it was a Zoom issue. I use Teams for work more often, so sometimes I struggle with Zoom.
It is hard to keep track of them all, I know.
As it is. I know. I think everybody has their preferred video conferencing platform and is kind of struggle busing it on anyone that is not their preferred one.
Yes.
From my seat, my larger concern would just be staff, and I think that this can be rectified with some training and education, right? Staff who may have limited understanding of best practices in mental health, again, recognizing that these are teachers, not mental health professionals, or who may have outdated ideas about how to best support students' mental health. Those would be my concerns, just as far as some of the things I've heard about, just kind of building off of what Phoebe was saying. Some staff may be thinking that a student is not doing something because they quote unquote don't want to, not recognizing the other factors that are contributing to their difficulty in a particular area.
Right, absolutely, and that's definitely something that they keep in mind as we provide opportunities for, like, hey, here's what we need you to do, here's what we don't need you to do, and don't try to. I know we all want to help kids, but there can be some danger in trying to, thinking that we know more than we know, and so I definitely hear what you're saying. Any other fears or concerns from anyone else? Thank you, Courtney.
No other questions on my end.
Okay, and if you can't unmute, just raise your hand or shoot us a message. We'll fix that. All right, let's move on to safety. If I can find. All right, I'll turn it over to Katie.
Okay, thank you. So school safety. And just here's a little bit of some of our priorities here in the district. Safety and security of our students and staff obviously is always the highest priority. Peace of mind to and from school and also in the classroom will allow for more comfortable and productive learning experience and an environment. We strive here at Okemos not to just provide our students with high quality academics, but also to cultivate an environment that prioritizes their safety and well-being. And with that being said, so as a team, here are some of our considerations for our grant funds that we're hoping to get the opportunity to secure here with this MDE grant. Upgraded traffic signs. Now I know all of you who are probably on this Zoom meeting today have had experience with some of the traffic concerns in the district. Certainly with my time here at Okemos in the last month and a half, I have fielded a lot of those concerns and thank you for bringing those to our attention. So some of the upgrades that we want to make is to the school speed zones signs and then the school zone signs in general. So what this means is alerting the public and the traffic goers that there's a school coming up, and then also the speed zone signs in general itself. So some of them might need to have some updates, and then we also might need to implement and put out there some more. Now, again, with that comes, it's very costly. So that's what we could do with some of this money, hopefully, but we also have to partner with Meridian Township and also Ingham County Road Department. So they also have a say with this as well. So that was just some ideas regarding traffic safety. And then technology for the district. So some cybersecurity technology, obviously with our integrated systems, with our communication devices, laptops, Chromebooks, etc. Internal communications as well, as far as for our staff. We also have behavioral threat assessment tools, and what that means is just some more technology to be able to do what we need to do in regards to the safety of the students, mental health, assessing students' behavior and indicators for concern with that. Another option that we've talked about a little bit is the visitor volunteer management system. So what this would be, a system in place at all of the schools where we can monitor those coming in and out of our schools, what their purpose is and who they are, and are they allowed and should they be in those schools. And then we also brainstormed on equipment, what updated equipment we can have. Now, obviously we have our bond project with our secured vestibules going in. And then we also have the upgraded schools in general, where we're building and adding on to Chippewa and with Cornell. So two-way radio communications. So that's pretty much a internal communication system where our leaders in our buildings and our staff can communicate with each other. We talked about the window coverings for the doors, just having some simple shades that we could pull down in those windows and the doors that could keep the classrooms more private, and or in a situation where we need to I guess in one of those critical incidents where we just need to cover up what's in the room. And then my position was brought to the district just this school year. So hoping to continue on with the Director of Safety and Security, and some of those funds might go toward this position as well. And so if you don't really know too much about my position, I service the entire district. So I'm in and out of every building. I'm helping with the bond grant, helping with our emergency operation procedures, all kinds of security and safety needs of our students and our staff. So these are just some ideas and potential things that this money could go toward. But that's, again, like Laura had said, that we're here to chat with you guys and see if you guys have any major ideas that we could use this money for. And it looks like we have another
Courtney
comment.
added, I'm gonna add that to our
okay.
notes here. So it's there now.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks, Courtney. And so in terms of safety and security, I guess same question as with mental health. What are you hoping that we're doing with the grant funds, or just in general? Are there things that are at the top of your mind regarding the safety issue? Either Candace, let's see.
There you go.
Okay.
Candace, you're unmuted.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a question on when you're talking about window covers, are you talking about classroom doors?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, the classroom doors off of the hallways. So just like pull down shades to cover those windows.
You know, as a person who's worked not in a school, I've worked in a college setting for a year or two, a couple of years. The concern I would have about those pull down shades in the room is they can lead to problems in other ways. If something's going on in the room and somebody in the room doesn't want you to see it, they can pull them down. There's one thing of having that ability right there. So say the classroom's open and a kid goes in there and another kid goes in there and they pull the shade down and somebody beats somebody up. That kind of thing, to me, if there's some kind of internal to the door thing that needs a button, between the panes of glass or whatever, that needs a button pushed by the office to shut the curtains because there's somebody in the school that doesn't belong, that's one thing. So that somebody comes, some intruder does not see a classroom of children available to be harassed, fired at, whatever. But not for something that anybody in the classroom could walk into and grab and pull down. It just seems to me like there needs to be more thought given to that, or more
oversight. Yeah, Candace, I understand what you're saying, and that's a very good point. Yes, and that's certainly, this is the feedback that we like to hear when we're putting this out there. We want to get a broad perspective of everyone and not just, have that tunnel vision of some ideas. So thank you for adding that. And yeah, the idea behind those pull down shade window coverings are for the teachers to utilize when they
Right.
need to. In situations, if there might be an intruder in the school, that intruder
Right. And I understand that,
might
yeah.
just be in the office or in the, so the office can't activate those in times where those would, those in between shades between the two panes of glass. So this is something that is cost effective. We wouldn't have to replace the entire window of every door. But
Right.
yes, I certainly appreciate your perspective on that.
Well, is there anything else new that has come out that could be used instead? Especially since we're constructing 3 new schools in the next few years.
Right. Yep. And that's certainly on the list of what we need to look at. So I appreciate that, Candace.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you. Anything else? Did anybody have any hopes and expectations of some of this grant funding?
Or questions?
Okay, no messages on the chat so far.
Right, and really the only other in terms of kind of what are the expectations? Is there anything that's like really concerning to you that you would like us to know as we consider how we're spending this money and what we're focused on? I know that I'm an educator, Katie's former police officer. We look at things very differently, and you all have different perspectives as well.
Yeah, so we're really and we were happy to host this meeting tonight because we really do value our community's input and also our parents of the district. Again, like I said, we want all perspectives, and because we're not all perfect, so we want to make sure we hear everyone and have everyone's different perspectives that could gain in using these funds. Okay, I don't see anything else.
And that's really like the grant is, we'll find out, the next steps are that we apply for the grant, which is fairly straightforward. And we just have to give them an idea of how we're spending the money. And then I'm not sure what the timeline is for approval of the grant, but we'll keep everyone posted once kind of the process gets going. And of course, if you're like me, you're gonna like walk out of here, go into your evening, and you know, half an hour later or tomorrow morning, you'll be like, oh, I do have a question, or got to say this. Feel free to shoot us an email or give us a call. Our emails and numbers are right there. Always willing and happy to listen and take your feedback and share it with the rest of our leadership team.
Yes, and our information is available on the website, the Okemos website as well. So And Danielle did have a comment here. Thank you, Danielle, for attending our presentation. We were happy to do this for all of you and getting feedback from all of you. So thank you for being here.
Nothing else. I think we say go enjoy the rest of the evening, afternoon, whatever it is. I don't know. I don't have a window, so I don't even know. Is it sunny out? Hopefully. So thank you all for coming and take care.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.